Well, here we are with more images claiming to be Switch 2 related. Possibly images of the Joy-Cons for the Nintendo Switch 2, giving us an idea of the size, the look, potentially, in theory, confirmation of the magnetic rail system, some sort of weird IR sensor on the inside of the Joy-Cons, bigger buttons, and just all sorts of crazy stuff. This is interesting for a few reasons, and of course I want to remind you, I've mentioned this in recent months, how in 2024 I tried to be a lot more choosy with when I select Switch 2 stories or quote-unquote leaks to even discuss on the channel, because I think it's been a little bit overkill, and I still think most things are fake nowadays. But this is one of the few that falls under the interesting enough camp for me to decide to talk about and show you these images and break down. But if anything, if this is anywhere close to real or legitimate, we have to talk about the fact that there's so much of this stuff getting out there that Nintendo, I don't know what they're doing, man. I don't know what they're thinking. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they do care. Maybe, I've said this in the past, maybe it's all so fake that they're just laughing in their boardroom, seeing all of us nerds go crazy over images like these Joy-Cons, thinking they're real, when they know that none of it's real, and we all are just going to look foolish at the end of the day, which is very likely. I have no problem admitting that. But I don't know. It's like Nintendo's got to get a lid on something. If any of these images and leaks and stuff over the past year turn out to be true, it's going to really expose the fact that Nintendo didn't have a good grasp on protecting whatever it is that they've been doing behind the scenes, and maybe also expose the fact that they took way too long to show this stuff. So one of the reasons I hope this is fake, these Joy-Con images, is so that it doesn't expose Nintendo for waiting too long, and it doesn't expose that they're not good at keeping secrets of their new next-generation hardware. Anyway, let's look at these images. Here they are. These are the two images going around that everyone's losing their minds over, of someone, I think, who is claiming to work in like a factory probably, who's showing these two angles of what is allegedly, not confirmed, just allegedly, the Switch 2 Joy-Cons. And then some other folks have been awesome enough to put together like a size comparison to the current Joy-Con. And you can see, in a world where these images are actually real, and this is like a real Joy-Con 2, it's quite a bit bigger than the current Joy-Cons, or at least it's quite a bit taller. Let me say this, bigger I think is different than taller, because I don't like that it's the same thin, uncomfortable looking shape and design. It actually really bothers me if this is actually what it is, but it is what it is. However, it's taller, which is good because we expect the Switch 2 itself to be taller, because we expect the screen to be bigger, and even though I don't really ever play portably, that's nice to see. And a bigger, more comfortable Joy-Con experience would convince me to play my Switch portably. I never play my Switch portably anymore, and there's a few reasons why. One of them is they're just not comfortable. The Joy-Cons, they suck, man, in terms of comfort for my adult hands. So it's interesting to see that these images are the exact same uncomfortable shape and design, but at least they're taller, so that is a tiny plus when I think about playing it that way myself. We're also, of course, seeing bigger SL and SR buttons, so that's interesting for people who might actually use that. We're seeing the button that seems to confirm that magnetic rail system. You know, this big sort of button here, we've all discussed it over the past few months when we started seeing images of this stuff, that it seems like it's the magnetic eject button that would separate the Joy-Cons from the Switch 2 device itself. So yeah, that's interesting. There's also this weird, what looks like some sort of IR sensor here. I don't know if we know that that's what it is, but it's a theory out there, and some people think that maybe you could use the Joy-Cons like as a mouse. If you put it face down here with this thing facing downward on like a mouse pad, suddenly it's going to track like a mouse for whatever reason you could use that for. So I don't really know that that would get a lot of use in any games. If this is even real, it would probably fall into the same category as the IR sensor. That really didn't get much practical use in anything interesting. But it's there. People have pointed it out and theorized about it. So, you know, it's worth discussing. The other thing I want to talk about is how we're not seeing... I kind of wish we were seeing the front of this Joy-Con here. Like this person was holding it so we could see the face of it, see the buttons, and get a better look at the analog stick. Even though we have this profile shot of the analog stick and it's helpful to see, but again, if this is even real, it kind of stinks to see that the analog stick looks like the same inefficient, not awesome analog stick on the current Joy-Cons. I would like to think that Nintendo would improve the quality and the range and the feel of the analog sticks on the Joy-Cons for the Switch 2. Maybe that would be hard to do just based on the design and concept of the Joy-Cons. Like, they have to be a certain level of small and portable, so maybe it's hard to do by default. But I really hate the analog sticks on the Joy-Cons. I mean, they're fine, but they're not awesome. And so we can't really tell, and we're not looking at the face of this Joy-Con here, like I said, but I'm getting the impression from the profile shot that they're the same kind of lame joysticks, or analog sticks, I should say, from the current Switch. Now, something it's important to point out, because everyone is very keyed in on this, and it makes everyone feel like these images are that much more legitimate and believable, is that we've got this branding and this printing and this writing on the back of the Joy-Con and on the inside here, and we have a serial number that matches a real serial number registered by Nintendo. And so that's got everyone saying, okay, this has to be real because it's a real serial number. And that's interesting. Don't get me wrong. That's definitely a fascinating kind of wrinkle here. And maybe it does help prove this as more believable. But it's worth noting that this stuff is still so easy to fake, man. Anything could be faked. Somebody might know a serial number, and they could have 3D printed this Joy-Con or just made it themselves, and they could have just printed that real serial number on this device. I mean, it's not super likely, don't get me wrong, and I'm acknowledging that it's interesting enough of a wrinkle that it does make it seem that much more legitimate, but man, anything can be fake, man. We've had stuff 3D printed. We've had people program fake games and UI menus for the Nintendo Switch, man. Anything can be done. It's obscene. So just because it makes it more believable doesn't mean we should start going totally crazy saying it's confirmed fact. Like, I don't know how many times I could say it. It certainly makes me question it. Maybe this is the real Switch 2 Joy-Con. Like, I'm with you guys in that sense, but it would be irresponsible of me to not remind you guys how easy anything to fake is. I'm kind of at the point where until I see Koizumi or Furukawa or somebody holding a damned Switch 2 playing a new Mario game on it, I just don't know if I'm going to believe anything 100%. Even this and the serial number does not give me 100% confidence that it's real. Even if it gets me to 90, 95%, it's still not enough to say it's 100% real, so I'm not going to tell you guys that it's real either. And so, at the end of the day, if this is real, what would this mean? Well, it means a few things to me. It means that Nintendo isn't good at keeping their leaks closed up. They don't have a good lock on what they're doing and making behind the scenes. And it also means that maybe they're taking way too long to reveal this thing. And it also means that the Joy-Cons are going to be the same, only taller. And that does disappoint me. When we actually see it revealed for sure, when Nintendo has officially showed us all of this stuff, if the Joy-Cons on the Switch 2 are just like this, I will be disappointed, and I'll break down in more detail why I'm disappointed that the Joy-Cons aren't more ergonomic. I've, kind of touched on it already here, but I'll go into more detail on that because I think they're missing an opportunity to make these more comfortable for, especially the adult human hand, let alone any human hand. This flat design thing is just it's got to go, man. Other handhelds that have come out have shown the ability to make stuff like this more comfortable, and so it's one of the reasons I don't want this to be real, because I just don't like this flat design. I was really hoping Nintendo would move on from it. But again, if this is real, that's one of the things it means, Like I said, it's exposing Nintendo can't protect their leaks. It's exposing that maybe they've taken too long to reveal this thing because stuff keeps getting out there and everyone is so ready to see it that now they're leaking stuff. And it would expose that the Joy-Cons are no more comfortable than they are on the current Switch. And so I don't really have too much more to say on it, I guess, than that. I just wanted to show these to you, talk about what's out there, talk about what some people are theorizing. I wanted to bring up the serial number thing and remind you guys that even though it's pretty damn convincing and it very well might be real, anything could be faked, even something as hard to fake as that. So I think that's a message I want to leave you guys with, is don't believe everything just because it's exciting and it's out there, And look, I'm prepared to see this being revealed as accurate, so I'm not even saying it's not real, right? It's one of those, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I don't know how else to say it than how I've been saying it in this video. And also, man, Nintendo, Reveal this damn thing. Oh my gosh, it's getting crazy out there. It's kind of frustrating, man. And look, I do believe that a company like Nintendo in this case has the right to conduct their business how they want to and develop what they're developing in private and reveal it when they want to. But also, in the age of the internet, as frustrating as it is, this is what it is. And like the Switch, man, it's time to move on from it. I think that they should have revealed the Switch 2 last year. I know some people will disagree, and that's fine. We can all have different feelings on that stuff, but I think it should have been revealed like in August or October even. Like, they just should have done it, man. Forget the holidays and Black Friday. You could have revealed it. Like, what's going on? Show us the console. Give us an idea of the games. You can tell us months ahead of time what you're doing. It doesn't have to be 24 hours before you're going to do it. Just tell us months ahead of time. It's fine. We will survive, and so will you. But that's not what they've done. And so if these are real, it's like Nintendo, that's kind of what... Well, I don't want to say that that's what you get, because I don't really think that that's the right attitude. So I should phrase it differently. But I would say that Nintendo, you shouldn't be surprised. I'll say it that way. I think that's a more fair and mature way to phrase it. That if these are real, Nintendo, you should not be surprised. Because we've been waiting, and your business and your release model has kind of shown that it's time for you to have revealed this thing. And so, yeah, that's how I feel. These are my thoughts on these Joy-Con 2 images. I don't know. It's very interesting stuff, man. Hopefully we find some more information out soon. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and that's about it.